Another day, another dead end. The echo of these words reverberates in the mind of our protagonist, Jack, a young man in his mid-20s. He's stuck in the grind, caught in the perpetual cycle of chasing a dream that seems to grow more elusive with each passing day. The dimly lit apartment he calls home mirrors his state of mind. A cluttered desk, a blank computer screen, a cold cup of coffee. Jack is tired, worn out from running a race that appears to have no finish line. He's been at this for months, pouring his heart and soul into a dream that's been met with rejection after rejection. It's like he's trying to piece together a puzzle, but the pieces just won't fit. And so he contemplates quitting. It's a daunting word, isn't it? Quitting. It sounds like failure, like giving up. It's the antithesis of the perseverance and resilience we're often told are the keys to success. But when you're stuck in an endless cycle, perhaps quitting is the only way to break free. Jack thinks about the sacrifice, the trade-off. Is it worth it? Is it worth sacrificing his happiness, his sanity, for a dream that seems more like a mirage with every passing day? His pursuit of success has turned into a relentless struggle, a battle that's leaving him drained and defeated. But then there's the other side of the coin. What about the time and effort he's invested? He's missed social gatherings, pulled all-nighters, all in the pursuit of this dream. It's taken grit, determination, and a whole lot of coffee to get this far. Is he really ready to throw it all away? Quitting, it's such a daunting word, but maybe it's the only way out of this endless cycle. This thought lingers in Jack's mind as he wrestles with his decision. It's a struggle, a battle between his dreams and his well-being. But sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight within ourselves. Is it worth it, sacrificing my happiness, my sanity for a dream that may never materialize? These are the words that echo in Jack's mind, resonating with the weight of his predicament. He's been chasing a dream, a seemingly elusive goal that has demanded every ounce of his energy, every iota of his strength. As he sits there slumped over his desk, he can't help but question the worth of his sacrifices. He's given up so much: friends, family, leisure, all sidelined in pursuit of a dream that remains just out of reach. The harsh light of reality begins to seep into his world, casting long shadows of doubt over the landscape of his ambitions. The word quitting suddenly looms large in his mind, a daunting specter that he's been avoiding. But now it seems to call out to him, whispering promises of relief, of respite from the relentless pursuit that's left him drained and disillusioned. Yet, the thought of quitting fills him with a sense of dread. It's not the act of giving up that scares him, it's the acknowledgement of defeat, the acceptance that he's been chasing an illusion, a mirage that vanishes just as he thinks he's getting close. But as he grapples with this internal conflict, a new perspective begins to emerge. He starts to see quitting not as a sign of failure, but as a potential path to a different kind of success. Perhaps the dream he's been chasing isn't the only route to fulfillment. Perhaps there are other dreams, other goals that are just as worthy of his time and effort. As these thoughts swirl in his mind, Jack realizes that maybe it's time to cut his losses and move on. Not out of defeat, but out of a newfound understanding that there's more to life than chasing an elusive dream. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to acknowledge when something isn't working and have the courage to start anew. Maybe it's time to cut my losses and move on, he whispers to himself, the words echoing with a sense of resolution and a glimmer of hope for what lies ahead. But then again, what about all the time and effort I've invested? The late nights, the missed social gatherings, the sheer grit it took to get this far. When we think about quitting, we tend to focus on the immediate relief it might bring. But what about the other side of the coin? The months, maybe even years of hard work that we've poured into our pursuits, the sacrifices we've made, the dreams we've chased, the countless hours spent honing our craft, perfecting our skills, and pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. Jack finds himself caught in this very dilemma. He's tired, he's frustrated, and he's on the brink of giving up. But he can't shake off the nagging feeling that he might be letting go of something truly important, something that he's invested so much in, both emotionally and physically. He's not just grappling with the thought of quitting, he's wrestling with the fear of regret. What if his perseverance pays off tomorrow? What if the next opportunity is just around the corner? What if his big break is waiting for him, just a little further down the road? These questions swirl around in his mind, fueling his inner conflict. It's a tough call to make. On one hand, he's at the end of his tether, ready to throw in the towel. On the other hand, he's afraid of letting go, of admitting that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't cut out for this after all. But here's the thing. Quitting doesn't have to mean failure. Sometimes it's about recognizing when something isn't serving us anymore. It's about acknowledging that we're allowed to change our minds, to alter our paths, to choose a different journey. And yet, the fear of wasted time and effort looms large. After all, nobody wants to feel like they've thrown away precious years of their lives chasing a dream that never materialized. It's a terrifying thought, and one that Jack is all too familiar with. Am I really ready to throw it all away? He asks himself. The answer isn't clear, but one thing is certain. Jack is in the throes of a significant conflict, one that will shape the course of his life in ways he can't yet foresee. Maybe quitting isn't the end. Maybe it's just the beginning of something new. This realization hits Jack like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the darkness of his thoughts. He ponders on this newfound perspective, his mind whirling with possibilities. For so long, he's been viewing quitting as a failure, an admission of defeat. But what if it's not? What if it's an opportunity to start fresh, to redirect his energy towards a path that resonates more with his soul? He thinks about the countless hours he's spent chasing a dream that's been slipping through his fingers like sand. The late nights, the missed parties, the countless sacrifices he's made in the pursuit of a goal that seems to drift further away with each passing day. But what if he could channel all that dedication, all that grit, into something else? Something that brings him joy and fulfillment instead of stress and frustration? He thinks about the relief that would come with letting go. The freedom of no longer being shackled to an idea that doesn't serve him. It's a daunting prospect, yes, but also an exciting one. He imagines waking up each morning, not with a sense of dread, but with a sense of anticipation, eager to take on the day, to explore new opportunities, to live his life on his own terms. But in order to do that, he must first take the leap. He must gather the courage to quit, to close one chapter and open another. It's a scary prospect indeed, but also a liberating one. He realizes that quitting doesn't mean giving up. It means making a choice to prioritize his happiness, his well-being, over a dream that's been causing him more pain than pleasure. It's scary to think about starting over, to admit defeat and walk away from something I've poured my heart and soul into. But with this realization, Jack knows it's a step he must take, a decision he must make for the sake of his future, for the sake of his own peace of mind. It's time to quit. Not because I'm giving up, but because I'm choosing to prioritize my well-being and happiness. Jack had been wrestling with this decision for a while now. He had invested so much of himself into this dream, but it was time to face the reality. He had been staring at the same blank screen for months, hoping that his efforts would eventually pay off. But the harsh reality was that his pursuit was taking a toll on him. His happiness was at stake, and he was beginning to question if it was all worth it. Quitting was such a daunting word, a word he had always associated with failure. But now he was beginning to see it in a different light. Quitting didn't mean he was giving up. Instead, he was choosing to prioritize his well-being. He realized that every day he spent in this endless cycle was a day he could have spent doing something that made him happy. He was sacrificing his happiness, his sanity, for a dream that seemed more and more distant with each passing day. But it wasn't an easy decision to make. He had invested so much time and effort into this pursuit. Was he really ready to throw it all away? But then he thought about all the late nights, the missed social gatherings, the sheer grit it took to get this far. He realized that he wasn't throwing it away. He was choosing a different path, a path that prioritized his happiness. The thought of starting over was scary, but he knew it was the right decision. He was choosing his well-being over a dream that may never come true. It wasn't the end, but the beginning of something new. From now on, I'll forge my own path. Whatever comes next, I'll face it head on. He knew that this decision wasn't a sign of weakness. Instead, it was a sign of strength. Because sometimes, quitting isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. He was ready to embrace whatever the future held for him.